Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Before we dive into the session, let me introduce myself. I'm Lindsay. I recently joined the team as a product marketer. Along with me in the panel, I have Christopher, Head of Customer Success, and Ivan and Deepak. So we'll be handling the session today. So this session is all about a quick walkthrough of Zoho Vault and major updates in 2023. So this deck will be shared with you all along with a quick survey. You can register your feedbacks and suggestions there. Let's quickly dive into the agenda for the day. So we'll start off with an overview of Zoho Vault, which will be handled by me, followed by Major Updates 2023, a live demo, which will be handled by Christopher, and we'll end the session with Q&A. You can post your queries and any doubts in the chat box. We'll try to answer as many as possible. You can also write to us directly to support@zohovault.com. Let's get started. We're always in need of passwords, be it for your social media account or for your highly secured bank accounts. Passwords are inevitable. Passwords are here to stay. But the problem is, for a human brain, it's very difficult to remember a bunch of passwords, and it's impossible for us to create a strong new passwords. So we tend to stick to simple passwords, simple combinations like welcome at 123, important dates, and pet names. And we even use a random same password for all our accounts. And the other problem is how we store our passwords. We used to store our passwords in Excel sheets, sticky notes, diaries, and so on. And the final problem is how we share our passwords with our team members. So we used to share our passwords via messaging apps, email, etc. So all these will create data breaches. To reflect upon my own experience, I used to follow these unsafe practices before I came to know about the importance of password security, as well as the seriousness of data breaches. So while I was researching about the data breaches, I came across these reports. A recent report reveals that an individual personal information can be worth more than $1,000 on dark web. And according to Weson's recent report, most of the data breaches are driven by financial motives. So that being said, the first line of defense for our online security is our passwords. With a secure password manager like Zoho Vault, we can fight against all these data breaches. Let me give you an example. Look at the screen. So this is how a strong, robust password will look like. So this password is generated by Zoho Vault random password generator. But the problem is it's humanly impossible for us to remember such a strong password. So that is where Zoho Vault comes into play. With Zoho Vault, you don't have to worry about all these problems anymore. Zoho Vault is a secure password manager that safely stores, share, manage your passwords, credit card details, and autofill them across websites and applications. Zoho Vault complies with data privacy and security regulations, GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, SOC 2 Type 2, and ENS. So let's get into the security architecture of Zoho Vault. So you can access Zoho Vault via web browsers, extensions, user devices, and mobile apps. So when you create an account in Zoho Vault, you have to create a master password, which will only known to you. And that master password will not be stored anywhere on our servers. Only the encrypted data will be stored on our data centers. And all these data will be transmitted via HTTPS, which ensures security as well as privacy. Okay. You can manage your passwords on the go. You can access Zoho Vault via mobile applications, both Android and iOS. You can also access Zoho Vault via desktop and iWatch. Good. Zoho Vault tightly integrates with in-house Zoho integrations as well as third-party integrations, which makes your life even more easier. Let me take you through the key features of Zoho Vault. With Zoho Vault, you can monitor every action carried out in your Vault account with our real-time audits and intuitive reports. All these trials and reports are tamper-proof. so no one can delete it. You can customize password sharing with access privileges and request release workflow. The main reason behind this feature was to grant write access to each users. You can now log into your favorite websites with just a single click. You don't have to manually type in all your credentials whenever you wanted to access your favorite websites. You can keep your business running 24/7, even during emergencies. You can add trusted user as an emergency contact to your Zoho Vault account, giving them temporary access to all your enterprise passwords. You don't have to believe what we see. Look at what people say about Zoho Vault. Zoho Vault named as a challenger and fast mover in GigaOM radar for password management and rated as one of the best password managers by top reviewing platforms. Cool. Let's quickly move on to the demo session. Now I'll hand over the session to Christopher and I'll be on mute.
I believe everyone can see my screen and my voice is audible. So please put a thumbs up. In case if there are any issues, please put them in the chat section. All right. Thank you. So thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for that quick overview of Zoho Vault. So as mentioned in the agenda, I'll demonstrate the features that are released this year. So first thing we can start with is the TOTP integration. As you know, the TOTP or time-based OTP integration is based on the TOTPs, which is one of the widely used multi-factor authentication options. And this is also an open standard one, which uses the same technology and protocol across all systems and vendors. That's why it is also available as an integration in Zoho Vault and other password manager vendors. Zoho Vault, along with this integration, it helps organizations regulate access to shared passwords, and it also simultaneously provides an additional layer of security when users access the shared credentials. So for example, let's say if there is a social media or digital marketing team in the organization that manages the Twitter, LinkedIn accounts for the company. So it will be the same Twitter or LinkedIn credentials. So the people in the digital marketing team or social media team will be handling for the company. So the passwords can be certainly shared through Vault to specific users. But what we see in most cases is some organizations do not configure MFA for these shared accounts. So upon interacting with our customers, we found out that there are two primary reasons for not configuring MFA to the shared accounts. One is like whenever users need access to the shared account, they need to contact a specific user and they need to get the OTP or they need to have access to the device which is configured for MFA. And second thing is the person whose device is configured for MFA or whose contact number is configured for MFA. So prior to leaving the organization, they must reconfigure this MFA with someone who is already working in the organization. In case if they miss out this particular process, the organization has to reach out to the vendor. They need to undergo a series of verification process, and then they will regain access to the account, which is also a time-consuming one. And in case if it is a privileged account, it substantially impact the productivity of the organization in some cases. So these are two major factors which we see when we interact with our customers for not enabling MFA for shared accounts. But these circumstances can be overcome with Zoho Vault's TOTP integration feature. So you can store the sign-in credential for the website and application in Zoho Vault as usual. And you can also configure Zoho Vault as an MFA for the third-party application and websites with this feature. So when you share the password along with the MFA configured in Zoho Vault to the target users, they get both the sign-in credentials and MFA information directly from Vault. So we don't need to rely on any specific user or a device to access shared accounts. Also, when it comes to, in an unlikely event, if we come across a situation where the shared credential, the username and password information gets compromised, or if someone who knows the username and password for the shared account leaves the organization and they try to access the account once they are relieved from the company. So the TOTP or the MFA configured for the account will act as a defense to prevent unauthorized access. So we can configure the MFA in a very simple and straightforward method. So for example, if you take a Twitter or LinkedIn account, just for an example, based on the scenario we discussed. So you have a TOTP key field in Zoho Vault. So when you configure MFA for the account, so you can configure the TOTP key that you see on the screen and enable the MFA to the required account. So let's see the process practically. So this is the Twitter account to which we have already logged in. So you can go ahead and when you enable MFA for the account, so you have multiple options. As I said earlier, like the integration that we do right now with Vault is the TOTP method. So you can choose authenticator or authentication app. And when you select this particular option, you will have two options. So one, you can scan this QR with Zoho Vault Android and iOS application already installed on your phone. Or if you want to configure this directly from the web interface of Vault, you can use can't scan this QR and you can copy the TOTP key and supply that in the Vault. So this will immediately generate the TOTP code, which you can, supply in the Twitter page to complete the configuration. And you can, going forward, use Zoho Vault as MFA for the required accounts. So when this password is shared with other team members or when users access this account on website, Zoho Vault will automatically fill the saved credential, and it will also automatically fill the TOTP code that is generated in the vault. So in case of personal accounts, you can very well configure, true second factor authentication with your separate device, like phone or YubiKeys that you have. And as you know, Zoho also offers an MFA application called Zoho OneAuth. And with our OneAuth application, you can configure passwordless sign in to your Zoho account. Additionally, it comes with inbuilt TOTP authenticator feature, so which is equivalent to a Google or Microsoft authenticator that is already available on your mobile device. And we also offer integration with OneAuth application in our browser extension. So if you have configured OneAuth as an MFA for your Zoho account, and you have stored password for the particular website in Zoho Vault, and you use the TOTP authenticator in OneAuth as MFA for the same website, you can use the integration in our browser extension. So to integrate OneAuth with Zoho Vault, when you edit the password, you will find an option called OneAuth Secrets. So enabling this option will provide you another field called OneAuth Secrets. You can select the list of TOTP entries that are available in the OneAuth Authenticator app. And once you choose this and associate it with the password, so whenever you try to sign into the account, the username and password information will be autofilled with the Zoho Vault extension. And when it comes to TOTP, Zoho Vault will initiate a request to the OneAuth application. And that request has to be approved from the OneAuth app. And once you approve the request, the TOTP information will be automatically filled with the Zoho Vault extension on the required website. So this is TOTP integration feature in the Vault. And the next one is the card autofill feature. So when it comes to card autofill, before I explain the particular functionality, as I would like to state something before that. As you know, in Zoho Vault, when you store any password or file, as Lindsay mentioned, we use a zero knowledge architecture. So the username or password that you store in Vault or files that you store in Vault, they get encrypted firstly on your device itself. And only the encrypted form of data is transmitted over the internet and then stored on our servers. The same design applies to your card details. So the card details will be encrypted on your device using your Vault master password. And then the encrypted form of your card detail is then stored on our servers. So with like when during online transactions, users are often prompted to enter the card details, wherein like we need to supply the card number, CVV code, and also the expiry date. So for each transaction, entering the card details will be time consuming or can be time consuming for users. So with this functionality in Vault, you can securely store card details in Zoho Vault itself. And when you access any website or when you purchase anything, Zoho Vault streamlines the purchasing process by auto-populating the card details on the website itself. So for example, let's say, like if I access the PayPal website and I try to configure or I want to add card details on the PayPal website. So if the card detail is already stored in Zoho Vault, I don't have to manually enter the details. So the details can be auto-populated using the Vault extension. So when you reach the page where it asks you to enter the card details, you will find the Vault icon in the required fields. So you can select the Vault icon and fill in the card details using the Vault extension. Also, the option to store card details is pretty much a simple and straightforward process. When you add, like the password, you have a category called payment card. So you just need to provide the title or name for the entry, and then you can fill in the card details here. So whenever you access any website or whenever you come across any online transaction or purchase process, you can use Vault to autofill the card details. Next option that we are going to discuss is the improvements to the folder management. So previously, the folder management options were limited. So in case, like for example, if you want to share, like more than one folder to your team members, so it was not possible. So you need to share individual folders. The same applies to, like deleting a folder or revoking access to folder or transferring folders. So this year, so we have, like implemented the improvements that we have received as a feedback from a lot of our customers. And we certainly believe these improvements will help you effortlessly streamline your folder management experience. So now you can select multiple folders and you can share folders with other team members. Simultaneously, if you want to revoke the access to folders, you can select and revoke access to folders. Or in case if you want to move folders from the hierarchical structure from one location to another location, or want to move to a different, like folders, you can select the required folder and use the move folder option to move the selected folder to a different folder in the Vault. Also, you can select the folders and you can delete them in bulk. And when you delete, you also have option to delete passwords associated with the folders as well. And apart from that, there is also one more frequently asked request that we have addressed in this year, which is going to be moving passwords from one folder to another folder. So previously, we need to go to like required passwords, and using the manage associated folder option, we need to move each password to the required folders. Now this is not required. So you can go to any folder, you can select the passwords inside the folder, and you can directly move them to another folder. So apart from all these options that we provide, now it is also possible to share folders with outside users. Previously, it was limited to passwords, where you can share individual password to specific third-party users. In case if there is any requirement for sharing multiple passwords or a specific set of passwords, you can organize into folders and you can share your folders with outside users. You can also specify the time frame for a temporary access between 30 minutes to 24 hours. So, and then there is also a minor enhancement included in our password policy function. So in general, the password policy feature helps you configure or like enforce the password complexity requirements, where you can define minimum password length, and you can also define the complexity requirements, like including special characters, numbers, mixed case. So apart from these, like you can also configure password age to your passwords in the password policy. So basically, the password policy helps you maintain strong password for all of the accounts that you have stored in Vault. And additionally, we can also remind users to update those passwords periodically after a specific duration, like 45 days or 90 days. So it will be just an email reminder to users where they can, finally, it is the user's decision to update the passwords or not. So the enhancement that we implemented this year for the password policy is like how by default, as you can see, there are 3 password policy options right now. So when people start evaluating Zoho Vault, we have seen some customers who immediately, check with their IT team and they define a password policy based on their IT password policy in Zoho Vault and set it as a default policy. But some customers, when they recognize this option after, after some duration or after a while using Zoho Vault, if they add a new password policy, previously they have to edit each password and associate new policy to the required password. So now it is not at all required. In a single click, we can associate the default policy, the newly configured default policy, to all of the passwords that exist in Zoho Vault, which reduces the user's time and effort. And then we implemented an option to unlock Zoho Vault without having to manually enter the master password. And this is now possible with 2 options. So if you're currently using Zoho OneAuth as a multi-factor authentication to your account, you can integrate with Zoho OneAuth. So when Zoho OneAuth is enabled as your unlock option, so whenever you try to sign into your Zoho Vault, you will see the Zoho Vault option on the login screen. So this will trigger a notification to the OneAuth app. And once you approve the notification in the OneAuth application, user will be signed into Vault without having to enter the master password. So this is the integration with OneAuth application. Similarly, we can also use the WebAuthn model or the authenticators functionality in the Vault to unlock or access Zoho Vault using the biometrics or passkey option available in your computers. So when you enable this option, you need to configure an authenticator. So you provide a name. And you select the mode using which you want to configure or access Vault passwordlessly. So follow the on-screen instructions to complete the setup. And once the authenticator is added to the Vault, whenever you try to log into this particular web browser, you will find the authenticators option, and this will trigger the configured authenticator mode. So with this, you can access Vault passwordless. So this particular configuration is limited to, like the client in which you enable this particular mode, or the browser in which you enable this particular configuration. So when you access it from a new client or from a new device, you have to reconfigure this on the new devices. Also, if you clear the browser cache and cookies or reset the browser, you have to reconfigure this settings. So this is currently available in the web interface of Zoho Vault. Soon this will be implemented in the browser extension. Initially, we will be implementing the one-auth option, and then we will be implementing the authenticators option in the consecutive release. And finally, we have geolocation restriction in Zoho Vault. So in case, as a company, if you have people's working remotely, with this particular feature, you can define from where your employees can access Zoho Vault. So basically, you add a geolocation restriction. You select the location or the area for the reference. And you can add this restriction to Vault. So when you add the restriction, you can then map the users to the corresponding restriction. So the selected users will be forced to access Vault only from the allowed locations. So if they try to access Vault from a different location, they'll not be able to access the service. Instead, they will get the message to contact the administrator. So this way we can prevent access to Zoho Vault from a specific or only from an allowed location. And this will also in turn mitigate the unauthorized access attempts to your Zoho Vault setup from regions or countries which are known for cyber threats. So that's all. And with this, I'll hand over the session once again to Lindsay. Over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Christopher. It was very insightful. Allow me to share my screen. So if you want to know more about the features of Zoho Vault, you can always access our list of resources for, for a stress-free password management. You can also scan our QR code to access the website. Let's move on to the Q&A session. Feel free to ask your questions using the chat box, or you can also write to us directly at support@zohovault.com. I can see a few interesting questions in the chat box. Christopher, would you like to take it up? I guess there's
Yes,
one question. Yeah.
Mhm. So I believe Ivan has answered a couple of questions. And I see there is a question related to Wazoo CM, like how to send Zoho audit logs to our CM. So basically, the CM integration is now limited to specific set of products like Microsoft Sentinel, Loggly, Timber, Logsy.io. So in case if the Wazoo CM supports, API integration or that is or webhook integration. So we can configure webhook integration in Vault, and when any operation or action performed in the webhook integration happens in Vault, it can be sent as a notification to the required CM solution, or if it has the support to use the Zoho Vault API and pull the audit logs from the product, then it is also one of the options they can consider. And there is also one more question about policy enforcement. And this is from David. Does the enforced policy affect passwords that do not abide by policy, or does it flag it anywhere? So this will not affect, any existing passwords that are already available in the vault. So we just associate the new password policy to the existing passwords. And next thing is whenever user try to edit or update the password. If the default policy is enforced in the system, then users will be allowed to make the changes only if the password they have, like in the particular entry matches the complexity requirement you have defined for the default policy in the first place. And second thing is in Zoho Vault, we also offer password policy compliance report. So if you check the password policy compliance report, you can see the list of passwords in the vault and the password policy associated to each password. And there you can find out whether the particular password or any passwords that are compliant or not compliant to your default policy in the system. But we will not enforce users to make any changes. But so when they make any changes to the password or from the report, you can identify whether it is compliant to the password policy or not. And there is one more question from Carlos about using Zoho Vault API to manage our software users who want to implement double authentication. So in this case, I believe it is not possible because our APIs are currently available only to access passwords or create passwords or manage users in the system. So we don't have a dedicated API for the MFA functionality in the Vault. So the next one is about another question from James. It is not an image for the password, but store an image within the password detail where I can create a new password. I put in username or password, but to be able to upload the image with the same details. So I believe, James, your question is about storing images along with the passwords. If I am not wrong, if that is the case, it is also possible. So when you add a password or when you edit existing password, if you go to additional fields at the bottom, you have an option to select file attachment. And when you choose the file attachment option, you can upload images or any type of files that are less than 2 MB to your password. And then there is one more question from Jamal about automatically changing passwords regularly. If I have 100 plus passwords shared, it will take so much time to update all passwords regularly. Sorry, Jamal, at the moment, Vault is just a repository where you can store and regulate access to passwords. So the automatically changing password is not possible right now because, as you know, the data that we store in Vault are encrypted with your master password and then stored in the service. So if we need to trigger the password reset automatically, that data has to be available in a decrypted form when we trigger the reset password to websites. So it is also not possible, but we can use it as a vault right now to regulate access to shared credentials. Can we use Microsoft Authenticator to log into Zoho Vault by push notification? Sorry, it is also not possible at the moment. The options for MFA, it is limited to few options only. So you can use contact number or a mobile number, or you can use TOTP authenticators. You can use YubiKey. You can use passkey, and finally our own MFA application called Zoho Vault. So with Microsoft Authenticator, you can use it as a TOTP authenticator, but it is currently not possible to use it as a push notification method. So, and once again, James, regarding the file attachment within password only available for certain levels of subscription. No, it is available to, it is available in all of our plans, including free edition of Zoho Vault. So there is also, once again, a question related to Microsoft Authenticator, whether it is on the roadmap. So this thing, we may have to check with one of our internal teams. Probably if you could drop an email to support@zohoaccounts.com regarding this, you will get a clarity on the roadmap.
Thank you so much, Christopher. I hope we already answered all the questions. In case if you have further questions, you can write us at support@zohovault.com. I'll share my screen now. We're very excited to share you a sneak peek of our upcoming feature releases 2024, which includes secure notes, new default categories, form filling, search enhancements, passkey, desktop apps, and many more. Stay tuned for further updates. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. If you have any queries, you can reach us at support@zohovault.com. You can also follow us on X and LinkedIn. Stay secure with Zoho Vault. Thank you so much.